lot of you actually want to be able to go ahead and build an app or a web tool out there, but you have no idea how to actually go ahead and do it. Or you have never coded in your life, and some of your identities are clashing with each other, where you have an idea but you don't know how to code, and hence you have just never been able to actually build something. Well, that was me 6 months ago, trying to figure my way out around how to actually be able to go ahead and code something. And that's when I stumbled upon a tech stack that I think works very well for me. There are a few things that I want to make very clear to you. One is that no, you don't need to know how to have a coding experience. You don't need to have a coding experience. Two, you need to definitely have some understanding of what you're trying to build. Brainstorming with the coding agent is not going to really get you anywhere, because it's just going to end up in a mess where you don't know what you're doing and the agent does not know what it's doing. So having a broad idea of what you really want to do gets you at least halfway there, right? Like, for example, some of the tools that I have built are more pertinent or more important to my workspace. I'm an HR, so most times I would be indulging in building a performance management system, a learning management system, an ATS, and NPS. These are just something on the work side. Obviously, off work, I've been building something else as well. But all of that aside, I think the most important part is one, not to brainstorm with the agent. It just saves a lot of your token. And two is to have an idea of what you're trying to build. And three is to be able to put down 5 features and go from there. That's just 3 sub points. And the third most important thing is security. A lot of times you would actually build an app, build a web tool, and then eventually end up deciding that you want to make it public, or you want to make that particular tool available to the public. Now, if you're doing that, a lot of times cursor agents, or let's say even Claude Code or even Codex, whatever tools you're using, they do not have that context, right? So the vibe coding agent does not have that context. You will end up actually making a very thin security layer, which for all purposes, for all internal tools without sensitive data, still makes sense. Nobody's really going to ask you anything. But if you end up publishing this particular, let's say you build an app and you publish it on Play Store, you publish it on App Store or for Mac or iOS, right? It's susceptible to a lot of attacks, especially from people who are looking to gain a lot of data out of your app. And I would suggest don't do that, right? One thumb rule that I definitely have is that once a vibe coding agent actually builds something, I get a actual developer to take a look at the security measures. Maybe not at the whole code. I create a different prompt. I create a different .md or a CLI file to make sure there's a developer who looks at just the security part of it. Not all of it will be, but at some point or the other, you should make a choice on whether or not this is something that is going to go out in the public, or is it something that you're using only for your house? The first thing I want you to do is be able to go ahead and download something like Cursor. The Cursor right now would look something like this, but more importantly, all you have to do is go to your Google Chrome, type cursor.com/download, and you will be able to find this particular page. Click on download and install the Cursor agent. Now, Cursor agent is not free. I have the pro plan. I paid about 15 odd grand per year to get to where I am. But the first about an app that you build will roughly be free, so you don't really have to worry about it. So the next time that you actually want to start vibe coding, the first thing that I really want you to do is go to Google, go to cursor.com/download and download the Cursor agent. At first, when you open the Cursor agent after installing, this is what it would look like. On the right top corner, you would have something called editor window. When you click on editor window, you will be taken to this particular window that you're seeing right now. Now, for those of you who have no idea what this looks like, this is what we call an IDE. Now, an IDE is basically where you code, and once you go into the video, you'll start realizing what I mean by where you code. But most importantly, what I want you to know at this point of time is that every IDE has 3 panels. The left side panel that you're seeing are the panels where all of your files will sit. The middle panel is where you can open these files and view what it has inside it. And the right panel is where your agents are there. Now, for those of you who have no idea how to actually do this, that's fine, because I also did not. So don't worry a lot about it, right? At this point of time, I don't think that's the most important part. So the first step after you get to this stage, right? The first step that I want you to do is click on File, right? Click on Open Folder and select a particular, let's say you, in my case, I'm doing all of this in local disk D because my C is done. I have created something called cursor project, which is supposed to be cursor project. And then I have a folder which I have created in my own system called period tracker. And I'm just going to select that folder, which is what you see on the top here, right? Period tracker. Now, simply put, this is just a folder that you have now opened in your IDE. It's like you're viewing this folder through this particular terminal. You don't have to worry too much about it. So every file that gets created right now here, and later I'll show you as well, it gets created under your laptop, in your laptop, inside the project, inside the folder as well. So currently this folder is empty. Once you start creating files here, it'll go here. Now, what is the most important part of this whole thing? It's the right side. It's the new agent side. So what that means, right? So there are this is basically where you will do a lot of your work, because you don't know how to code. This window that you see, the new agent window, is going to be your go-to window for no matter everything. So even if you want to plan, if you want to build, you want to do something else, it's all up to you, right? So you're not really, you shouldn't be worrying anything about in the middle at this point of time. Everything on the right is what matters. So if you've come to here, that means that you have actually done more, 20% more or 30% more than anybody else currently in the world who have an idea. So first of all, pat yourself on the back. The second thing that I want you to know is that once you've opened a folder, the first thing that I need you to understand is on the right side, you have something called the new agent. Now, why do we have it? A new agent is basically your own reportee, a software engineer who's going to do everything that you're going to tell him to do, him or her to do, right? Now, practically, this is the space that you're going to spend a lot of time. So I would ask you to actually get acquainted with the space a lot more. What are the different things that are here? What are not there? So for example, the one thing that I want you to know is that once you actually come to this space, you will see that there are models, the basically the LLM models that are currently functioning in the market. In my case, because I am on the higher tier of the cursor agent or the cursor plan, I have Fable 5, which is now available to me. It's high effort and a lot of context, right? There's a lot of context windows that it can consume in a particular setting. So all of that is irrelevant at this point of time. If you're new to this, and I would suggest you just go with auto. Don't bother too much, especially if you're on the free tier. I would suggest just go with auto. Don't bother, right? The second thing that I want you to know is something called switch agent mode. Now, agents are practically everybody in the world, right? When they have to do a task, there are 4 or 5 modes they function in, and we are also going to be functioning in the same mode. So we have something called planning. We are going to be building, right? And then we are going to be testing, which is debug in this, and then we are going to be deploying. Not necessarily that you will use these agent modes across the board. Most times what I do is I just go ahead and run it in the agent mode and then let it be there, right? I don't usually use plan, debug, multitask, ask. Not necessarily that you have to use it, but it's good to know that you have different tools for different reasons. So if you want to plan a particular tool or you want to plan an app, so you can use the planning app, but all of this can actually be done in the agent as well. So you don't really bother switching agent tools or agent modes a lot more during your entire deployment. If you do, then fair. I mean, it's up to you, right? If for this particular test case, I'm going to go with auto. But then if I had to build this, let's say yesterday, and I was not doing video around it, I think I would just go with Fable at this point, because Fable is fucking cool, right? It's such an amazing LLM at this point of time, and it's the hype also playing into the factor. But more importantly, Fable would actually get the goal done without having to worry about the process. Sonnet does the process a lot better than the actual goal. It is very fuzzy on the goal. So these LLM differences are not to be bothered about at this point of time. Just go with whatever seems right. The first thing I want you to do is to be able to go ahead and decide on a particular topic. Now, the first one of the things that I usually ask people to do if they are starting off with AI or trying to create something with AI is to create something static first. You can get a hang of things if you are able to create static, and then you are able to go ahead and build something dynamic out of it. Now, the most important example of a static is that Static is a website which has no inputs or outputs. It's just a website where you can click on something and images show up and then your information shows up. The next stage obviously is to be able to go ahead and do a little more complexities into it, which we will talk a lot more about in videos to come. But today we're going to do a simple static, and I'm going to show you how to do this using cursor agent, right? So the first thing is to be able to understand what do you need to do, right? So I will go ahead and change it into plan mode, and I will give a simple English prompt that I want to build a website for my business, which is a recruitment agency in India focusing on hiring sales, marketing, and leadership positions. Not true, I don't have one, but you can put any website you want, right? Suggest, plan. So when you're asking it to plan, you need to be very careful what you're actually planning for, right? Front end, back end, stack. And I'll tell you what stack is. You don't have to really bother about that, right? Testing philosophy and deployment on Netlify. I can promise you I've not got any money from them, but I really like Netlify mostly because you can just take your files and put it there and host it, but that's not for today, right? Backend is going to be on something called Superbase. Let's not even worry about everything else. Rest, it will figure out by itself, right? So give it about a good uh, 10 to 15 seconds and you will see that it's actually already doing it, right? Okay, now that you see it, we gave it a simple prompt. We said, I want to build a website for my business, recruitment agency in India, focusing on whatever, whatever, whatever. And it then came back with a bunch of questions. This is what we'll do in every planning phase. This is what we'll do. What level of functionality do you want for version one? Marketing site only, services about marketing site plus public job listing, full platform, right? It has three options at this point. I'm going to go with marketing site only. You can decide on whatever the heck you want to, right? Your folder is named website plus link bio. Should this be the project? Should the project include a link in bio? Your agency in bio for social media? No. Focus only on the main business website. And there we go. It's gonna give you. It's gonna take a while. It's thinking. While it is doing this, what I want you to also know is that, like I keep saying, the agent actually does not matter. You can keep it at anything at auto, and it'll do its job. Planning, yeah, I would still suggest you take a look at it, the planning document that is being built, right? So any document that gets built comes in the middle panel. Now the most important thing is that this document is not saved yet, right? Which means that in the planning stage, it's not saving a document. Once I say okay, this entire document goes into docs under the left panel. What is it giving me? A recruitment agency website, greenfield workspace. Okay, v1 uh, work framework, Astro 5 and React Islands. We are cool with that. I have no idea what that is. You also shouldn't bother. Best fit for marketing site on Netlify, right? About services, specialization for employers, for candidates, testimonial, contact, privacy policy. Nobody cares. Hero, value prop, three specialization cards. It's not going to make it sweet, right? That's also there because you're actually building a static website using a heavily code driven IDE. So it's not going to make it very pretty, but that's a configurable option at the end of the process, right? So we can go back and create a beautiful looking website HTML and push it into this, and this will actually do a better job, right, of pushing it back up. UI UX direction, professional trust design, so on and so forth. It will give you proposed front end structure, key interactive flow, contact form. So it's gonna show you basically how a user interacts. User visits, goes to Astro page, then React form, then Superbase, right, and then comes back all the way. This is also not very relevant at this point of time, so don't bother much. Backend, this is where it gets a little interesting. You might not understand any of this, and I did not as well. But given my 3 years of struggle in the college with computer science, we study backend very extensively. One thing I realized was, always go schema first. So if you're not very aware of how to actually do this, always go schema first, which means that once you have the feature list, right, you're going in and saying, okay, I want to have these three features. The first thing you want to do is to build the tables at the back end where these data from your website will go and sit. If you don't have the database, building a database as an afterthought is always very difficult. I don't recommend that. RLSs, at this point of time, you don't need to know them, but these are just rules on top of your databases depending on who can see what. So, for an example, a user who visits your website cannot at any point of time see all the people that have submitted a form, right? Like logically speaking, that's not fair. It needs to have an admin portal where you can see it. Local superbase, cool. I think the stack is here. Nobody really cares about any of that. Compatibility, astro builds to static output by default. Yeah. How do we test it? We will do validation utilities, superbase logic, and we will do playwright, e2e. Okay, I don't know what e2e is. Layer unit, which is I have no idea. What we will not test: pixel perfect layout for every section, ci gates. Mm, okay, we can always do GitHub, but we'll get there. Not bother. You know what? At this point, just say build. Fuck it, and just let's just say go to agent mode and say build, and let's see what happens. Okay, so one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to auto review, which means that I'm not going to wait for every reviewing to happen, and I'm going to push it into an auto review process. It's a lot more easier to do because what cursor is going to do is every 45 to seconds to 1 minute, it's going to ask you a question, and these are very valid questions. These are things that you, if you were a software engineer, you would be going in and actually doing it yourself, running bash codes, trying to figure out testings, all of that. But since you are giving it and delegating it to a AI agent, it's going to do it. So before it does it, it's going to ask you. So might as well be ready for it. What I did right now is something called auto review. If you auto review it, uh, at least the timeline of reviewing goes from 45 seconds to 1 minute. Every review, it goes up to about 5.5, 6 minutes, right? That's one whole job done without review. So do try it. But if you're someone who knows how to code, don't bother. Don't bother auto reviewing. Get into it. Get to each line, understand what these JavaScripts and Reacts mean, and then go from there. Yeah. What it's doing right now is that it's actually installing node.js. For those of you who do not know that, that's the front end that we will be working on. That's also the command center. All of that is, again, for tomorrow, right? So when I say tomorrow, I mean later part. Yeah, it's not something that we need to be bothered about at this point of time. A lot of code is being running. Do not get overwhelmed by this. When I first saw it, I kind of felt like this is not me. I don't know what I'm doing. Is this even right? uh, but one thing I realized was I don't really need to know any of this, right? It can do its own job, right? You don't need to worry about what it's installing, where is it installing. It'll do its job because it knows what to install. You've given it guardrails. Even if you have not given it guardrails, it has its own ethical guardrails, right? We have seen that work in the past as well. So give it some time. We'll come back to it once it's done and it's at a digestible format. We will definitely be coming back to it. Okay, it looks like it has completed a good 10, 8.5, 10 minutes of coding, and it has now come to a conclusion that it's done with whatever it was supposed to do. Now, first things first, you will see that all three sections of our cursor IDI is currently occupied. On the right side, it is giving you what it did. In the middle is basically a file that I opened, and on the left are all the different files that our cursor agent created. Right? Let's call our cursor agent I don't know, Ramu, for all I care. Right? Ramu then decided, okay, we will go ahead and create all of these files. Now, it's not really necessary at this stage for you to understand any of that except just one file that I really want you to know. Now, first things first, what has actually happened is that it has done multiple things. It has created 9 marketing pages: home, about, services, specialization for employees, key features, professional India focused branding. It has done its own research, responsive headers, all of that is there. SEO, meta tag, open graph, sitemap. It has a robots.txt, which basically means that it has done SEO as well. Superbase migration, not relevant. Um, test genuineness integration, 5 to all passing. Okay. So how do we even go ahead and check this out, right? Like at this point, how do you even run this locally? First thing, if you come up to this, right, you have come till here, the first thing that you need to do is to be able to go ahead and test it. So how do you do that, right? Just wait a minute. You do it like this. So you go to your place where you have your cursor project, wherever you have stored it, you click on that and you will come to this particular page, right? What I want you to do is I want you to open terminal, right? You should be reading this. You should be reading the path through which you have reached the terminal, and the next part is to be able to go here. It will give you its run locally. Copy this, right? So copy this and paste it. Paste anyway, and boom. Let's see what happens. Okay, looks like I can use this. So if it gives you a local host, so one thing you need to do is go on your Google Chrome and paste that local host. So the moment you paste it, let's see. Ah, there it is. Specialized hiring for growth critical roles. Once you click on it, you will get there. Absolutely amazing. It took us almost about 10 and a half minutes to actually get a running agency website up and going, right? And I'm not even talking about static website is actually good. Like I'm a candidate, I am hiring. If you're a candidate for candidates, I can actually hide these things and just come all the way from the home setup. But for now, I'm just going to keep it, right? Specialized hiring for growth critical roles, recruitment services built for Indian businesses, trusted by hiring leaders across India, summit talent partners, and all of that. Right? It gives you everything. Right? I'm not even kidding. It does most of the bidding by itself. I don't even have to worry about anything. Hire a talent. If you're an employer, hire a talent. My name is so and so. Now this is where the question is as to what will happen if you don't have a super base. If you had a super base, what it would do is it would push all of this online. It would push all of this in the back end, and you would eventually end up not having anything in the local system. But for now it's still fine. Yeah. I don't think it should be much of an issue, right? One fun thing I think we should be building on top of this is user journey. It's going to be called user journey logs. User So basically I want to know in plain English, right? I want to know visitors clicks to our contact page, fills how many started filling, and submits, which I will anyway get from Superbase. Now this is just a data layer. I'm just playing around with it. You don't have to at this point, even though even the customization is fill fine. In terms of in terms of where the content for these HTML is, where is the content for all pages located for me to change? It's simple. What I've asked user journey logs. Basically, I'm a data guy, so I want to be able to go ahead and check, uh, how many people came, clicks on the contact pages, fills how many people started, and how many people ended, right? So at this point, where is the and the next point I want to ask is where is the content for all the pages located, because I genuinely want to be able to edit it, right? Um, okay. The only part working right now. Okay. How to get the full recommended visitors contact page form started. Option A, quick analytical tool. It's saying Netlify add something like that. Where to change content. Content is split across a few tools. It's saying library site, reusable JSON content, service cards, exusable. Okay. It's giving you all of this, right? So basically, it's giving you where you can add content. Hmm. Yeah, it's not going to be easy. I don't think you should be building websites using this, because there are a lot more easier ways to build a website. But it's a good start if you are ever going to start off, right? In the comments below, please let me know if you have any ideas on what else I could be building. I'd be more than happy to build it out for you guys. Thank you.